Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are again, Monday at 3 o'clock. I love doing this. So please call in if you have any questions. Let me just give the number out. 888-994-4995. And I have a guest here, he's been on my show many times, my book editor, Lynn Everett. Hi, nice to have you here today.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a theme today, which is a little unusual because I don't usually have that. So please call in if you have any questions about your loved ones that have passed. I have what happened to me yesterday, which is perfect for the theme to show you how this works. Yesterday, actually, I went to, are we good? Yeah. Okay. Oh dear, we have aliens here. I don't know what happened. Are we good to go? Because I don't want to lose this story. Okay, is everything good out there? We're good, okay. Thank you, Josh. My theme is loved ones that have passed over. Okay, I went yesterday, and as people here maybe in the studio are aware of, there was the expo actually it was it was near Boca Raton. They have this expo where people come and meet, and there's many people that give lectures and they give many readings. I was walking around there yesterday, and I was getting energy from a lot of people. And my first impression was, I don't know, this energy is really hitting me here. I felt like I wanted to leave. It wasn't the greatest of energies. However, I stayed. What it did is I moved into another room from where that energy was happening. And I'm walking around and I suddenly see a little dog. A lady comes in with a little dog. This dog was beautiful. And something brought me over to this lady. And as I'm walking over there, the first words that this lady said to me, okay, thank you. The first thing that this lady said to me is, my dog is picking up on energy. But what I didn't realize at that point is the dog was picking up on my energy, but I didn't know. So my immediate reaction was to pet the dog because the dog was gorgeous, and I'm talking to the dog, and the dog is like he's talking to me. It's a girl, a lady dog. Okay, so after a few minutes, I did look up to the owner. Her name happened to be Linda, but I didn't know that at that time. And I look up at her, and she said, my dog is acting really weird. She's usually so good, but this energy it's making her do things that she doesn't normally do. So I said, well, I don't normally do this to go up to a stranger and talk, but I felt compelled that I need to talk to her. Well, after a few minutes, we got talking. And she mentioned to me, I'm from London, and she mentioned to me that she had traveled exclusively a lot around the world, being London too. So my question was, well, what do you do that takes you on your travels? And we were getting friendly, and the dog is now quiet, just laying there. But this is an important part of the story. Okay, so she said to me, I'm from London, and she said she had been to London and she loved London. So I said, well, what takes you there? And I'm sure she doesn't mind. I'm not going to mention her name. She said, well, I'm a scientist, and actually I retired early in life, but I'm very interested in the buildings, which I had painted actually, many of the buildings from many years ago, but she was beginning to open up just a little bit to the spirituality of this. She's saying, I realize with the energy there is so much more. Well, we get talking, and we're like, now she's like my friend, and we're talking, and she said to me, being a scientist, and I respected that because, you know, they're a little bit skeptical, and I absolutely understand that because they like the facts. But she did say to me at this particular point, do you feel that anybody is around me? And I said, well, there's a lot of energy here, and I'm feeling that energy. So let's try and see if I can concentrate for a minute. And then I came up with what I was feeling. I said, there's a gentleman here, an older gentleman. And I remember saying to her, I don't always remember, but I do remember this, that he has a beard and he wants to talk to you. And there's a message from him. And she looked at me and she said to me, Sally, she already had my name at this point. She said, I don't recall anybody that I know with a beard. Most of my, and her exact words were, most of my friends are clean shaven. Okay, so I said, because there was a lot of people there, well, maybe I'm picking up on somebody else's energy, which can happen because I'm in a room with a lot of people. So I didn't say any more to her at that point. I said, I started to talk about other things. But she looked at me and she started to, tears come suddenly into her eyes. And I said, what is the matter? And she said, oh my gosh, my brother passed away just over a year ago. And I said to her, did he have a beard? And she said, of course he had a beard. And everything that I had told her, I was explaining that her brother was in there, was watching over her, and tears were coming down her eyes. This is just in the middle of an expo because a dog brought me to her. And then she said to me, Sally, it's his birthday today. And that, to me, we were both crying. We were both standing there crying. So I just want to let you know that for me, that was, it's not like I need the validation, but it was so real to me that I'm in a place with a lot of people and I'm drawn to this particular person. But the key here is the dog draw us together. Dogs know. I feel that. I had an amazing dog. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that story. And if you have any questions about your loved ones, please call in. 888-994-4995. Thank you.
You have a phone call.
I have a phone call. Thank you. Yes, please do.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Who am I talking with?
This
Julie?
is Julie.
Hi, Julie. Nice to meet you on the phone. What is your question?
There's an echo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Tell her to turn her volume down.
Turn
Yes.
your volume down. I don't know the most of what's going on, but I feel that you need to.
Okay, I turned my
just-
volume down.
Okay. So what is your question, Julie? Can I help you?
Well, my lovely friend Louise told me I get to call in today and maybe I have a message.
Okay. The name Louise is very dear to me. I lost my daughter 5 months ago. Her name was Louise. I'm sorry, just when you said that, there is no coincidences, okay? So your question is you'd like to hear from Louise? Is
No, Louise said I should call in.
Oh, Louise said you should call in. Okay, the name is very dear to me. Okay, so do you have a question for me that you want to ask?
Well, do I have a message from someone that
Okay,
wants to tell me a message today?
okay. Okay, so you want to know, similar to what, I don't know if you just heard my story of what happened to me at the expo yesterday. Do you want to
beautiful.
feel that someone is around you? Would that be the question that you want to ask me? Do you have someone around you at this point in time? Okay, well, I'm going to give you the answer to that, okay? I feel that you do. We all have what we call guardian angels, or however you want to describe that. We are being helped by many people. If we're more open-minded, we hear them. I have learned that, and I learned to listen from my guardian angels, I call them, because I love the word angels. Okay, you have an angel around you. You actually have a lady that is dear to you that passed not that long ago in this lifetime. Okay, she passed. I don't like to say the word die because we continue. She passed she had something, I feel that she had problems with her breathing. I don't know if this means anything to you at this point, but she was in this lifetime with you. She's watching over you. She knows what you're doing. I think, and I'm feeling that she's telling me that you're embarking on something new. Is this correct? Are you
I hope
starting?
so.
Okay, so you have that in mind, okay? Something new that you're going to be starting. This is what I feel that she's telling me. Not sure of the lady's name, but she's telling me you are on the right path by doing what you're doing. You don't have to mention it, but this is for you. That she's watching you and she's helping you. She's helping you with your contacts, with everything that you want. It's something that you're planning on doing, okay? Go ahead. You are definitely on the right track with this, okay? If that helps you, if you can relate to that, she's watching you. She's with you all the time, okay? I'm not sure of her name. She's definitely a lady who I would say passed in her, she was like 65 in our years. Does that mean anything to you at all? Can you relate to
I
this?
can't think of anybody.
Okay,
Kind
sometimes
a
that
little
happens.
bit.
Sorry, go ahead.
A little bit.
Okay, sometimes that happens because we're kind of put on the spot. Even with the lady yesterday, she didn't realize it was her brother. Okay, so think about what I
Right.
said, but I do feel that you're embarking on something that is going to be very rewarding. I'm not going to necessarily be beneficial because I can say that, but it's going to be very rewarding to you. What you're thinking about doing, please go ahead and do that if that means anything to you. Just
Nice.
remember I said that, okay? Thank you.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions in the studio? I have a dear friend of mine here, Claire, and I'm not sure if she wants to be on camera, but please, if you feel free to ask me a question, Claire. You need the mic and you need to...
Well, okay, so it's not about a loved one
That's okay.
today, but I did have my son visiting me from Bangkok with his girlfriend, and he's been living in Asia for 6 years, and I miss him dearly, and I would love to know if he's ever planning on coming home.
Okay, I'm going to say in the words, there's a very open-ended question, okay? He's torn, Claire. I feel, and you can maybe relate to this, okay? He's very torn. He loves where he is, but he loves it here. So I can't see anything right now in the immediate future for you. But I'm going to say there is a but there, okay? It's not out of the question. In other words, there is a great possibility that he will return. His timing right now is very important to him where he is. And I need you to understand this because it's important. He doesn't want the pressure, and it's entirely up to you, of pulling him back here, because whatever he's doing, it's very, very, very good for him where he is. But the timing right now is not right for him to return. Will he return? My feeling is definitely yes. I can't give you exactly when he's going to come back, but it's there. So my answer to your question is don't, if you can, not to pressure him too much because he's going to be torn. I feel that his wife has something to do with this. So she's there. He's getting torn. He needs to concentrate on what he's doing in Bangkok, correct?
Right.
Let him be for a little while, okay, if that answers your question.
We're just trying, not to pressure him too much.
No, try not to.
Right.
Okay, Lynn, I'm turning the camera on to you because you are my guest. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
Well, so one of the questions that I actually was thinking about over the weekend was in terms of timelines and time frames of things. And I started wondering, when you are doing a reading for someone, it appears that you are seeing into the future. But could it be that you or your collective are actually in the future, and they are looking back now on the present moment, and they are giving you the information as history rather than a projection into the future?
I love that question, and I was actually talking about that the other day. I'm beginning to see this myself because if we're here, and if it's not what we're used to hearing, it gets a little bit complicated. I believe, with everything that I understand, we are from the future. Not all of us, but the ones that are aware of what's going on, we actually from the future coming back. I love this topic because, as you know, I'm talking about the UFOs today, which is something I didn't think I was ever going to talk about. So we are actually, and that's where the deja vu comes in, and I was talking about this to my friend yesterday. This is not coincidental. We actually have prepared. We think we've done this, what we're doing. I believed that we do this in spirit. However, I believe we've done this before, and we've come into a timeline. This is difficult to comprehend, even for myself, but I was talking about this very question, so there's no coincidences. We are reliving what we have already done. Now, that's very difficult to understand, but think about sometimes deja vu. Where does that come from? And this is my answer to my question yesterday, deja vu. We've experienced this before. We've just gone back, if we want to say, in time to relive what we're already doing here. We can go into the future, we can go into the past, but our now is very condensed right now with what we're doing right now from, I would say, the future. Does that make sense to you?
It does. So would you say it's almost like the way that your show works, where it's live, but then people can go and watch a recording of it?
Perfect. That's a perfect analogy, yes. And there's no coincidences that you came up with this question. As my audience know, I never know, and I don't want to know what someone's going to ask me. I had this conversation yesterday with my friend at the expo. We had talked about that, and I suddenly could see, and it made so much sense to me, that how do you explain a deja vu? I thought maybe because I believe that we plan our life, but it was more than that. We've already lived it. And that's difficult to comprehend, and I don't expect people to understand. Do I understand that completely? No, but I'm aware of it. And that's the most important, to be aware of what's going on. Thank you for that question.
So I want to ask another question, and that is that in terms of this idea of people crossing over to the other side, just in case there's someone who doesn't really understand what that means, and maybe they are more familiar with the term death and dying, that you don't really like using those terms, but could you just give a brief explanation of what that means when someone crosses over to the other side?
Well, first of all, let me say that I like to call it transition, because we're transitioning. I once went to, before I even understood this, I listened to somebody that believed in past lives at that point, and he said he opened up his seminar, "We never die." I couldn't understand that, but as years went by, I suddenly realized what he was talking about. We don't, we just pass on to another dimension. And there are many different dimensions. And where we are in this particular life is where we go when we pass over. If we've learned a lot, as I'm beginning to, and I'm opening up to a lot of different things, I may go, and it's not about ego, it's all a journey that we're all on, that we may go to a slightly higher dimension. I was lucky enough to have my guide here, which I always mention on my show, which is Aldo, who is in a very higher dimension. But he was trying to explain that to me, because he said to me, from previous lives, I knew what I knew. So I was on a higher dimension. And I'm opening up to this. He came here to guide me with this. So when we pass, it's not so different to how we are here, because we're at that same, if you want to call it, mindset. But if you're open to more, and you feel that you're going to see people in that, be it what religion you are, if it's Christ, if it's whatever it is, Buddha, and you hear stories of people coming back saying that they met that person. It's what we perceive. Very, very important, what we perceive and what we're learning on our journey here. So for me to give messages of loved ones, I am at that level that I can communicate with them. So it's difficult, but very important to understand that. We just transition. I don't expect everybody to believe that, and I understand that. I totally believe it today. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely, and it looks like we have a question coming in.
Okay.
We have a question from Tracy Latone. Are you picking up on any messages from my spirit guide? September 2nd is my birthday. Or my grandmother.
Okay, so the 9/2, that would be September?
Yes.
Yeah, they told me September. Okay. Okay, Tracy, and I know you've called in a few times, so I feel connected to you very much. My message is, you're beginning to open up so much more, and you are being guided with this. Your spirit guide, actually, I believe, because it doesn't have to be, it's a specific person with you. I believe that your spirit guide is your grandmother. She's around you, we have several, but I believe your grandmother is with you. She is guiding you to open up, and I feel, because you have talked on my show before, that she is definitely here. She's with you. She's guiding you. I think that you hear from her. I believe that you hear from her when you go to sleep sometimes. This is real, Tracy. Okay, what the messages that she's giving you are very real. Listen to her. She's trying very hard to give you these messages. Does that relate to you at all? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so just continue. If my advice to you right now is document what you're hearing when you hear from her, and there are other people, just get a little pad beside your bed and just document it, and you'll see that will happen. She's communicating with you.
Just
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else in the audience?
How can your spirit... TV's too far. How can we hear our spirits better to help guide us?
Okay. Listen. Go with your intuition. I don't actually see people. I can get a description of them. I can tell you what their hair is like or what they look like. I don't see them. It's like a telepathy. So, and I'm not the only person to do this. We all can, but we just need to open up. So go with what you feel and what you hear. They're trying to communicate with you. They will come to me because they know that I'm aware of it, but it doesn't have to be me. It can be you too, whoever is wanting to listen. Listen, just listen, and you'll feel it's a telepathy. It's kind of hard to describe, but they're talking to you this way. So go ahead with what you feel. They're guiding us, every one of us. It's not me or Tyler who's calling in, it's all of us. We are being guided. We're definitely being guided. And if they feel that you're kind of understanding it, you'll get more messages. Thank you.
Sally, is it possible that everybody wants to hear from parted loved ones? Is it possible to hear from people who you don't even know?
Yes, because we're not aware. Sometimes we get messages from people and they can say to us, I don't know that person. However, I believe, as you know, in previous lives. So we can also get messages from people that we may not even know that we knew, that are still with us as they pass. And sometimes I can give a message to someone. Most of all, it's usually who we know here. But it's not unusual, which I have had from someone that has given me messages from the 15th century. I'm very aware of this gentleman today. I even opened the internet one day and I knew his name, and there he was. He was quite a well-known figure in the 15th century. So I had the validation. But what it's done for me is to let you know I'm not the only person that can have that happen. So whilst I might give you a message, it could be someone from another lifetime that's still with you. As my guide was here, Aldo, he knew me in other lives. He just happened to materialize in this life because I was ready to open up to this.
Sally, you have a comment on YouTube.
Okay.
Hi, Sal. She met you by total chance. Her appointment is delayed today, and she's listening to your show. I'm Linda.
Oh,
Ivy
Linda.
is the dog that connected you yesterday. She said, this is amazing. My brother, Wayne.
Oh my gosh, Linda, hi. First of all, let me say hello. I opened up with our story, Linda. I'm not sure if you listened to the beginning part of my show. That was so amazing because today my theme is to hear from loved ones. How in the world, in a busy place like the expo, did that happen? You have been on my mind. I have given many messages, but what I did for you yesterday touched my heart, because I truly believe that your dog, and I love animals, I love dogs, led me to you, Linda. That was a blessing for both of us. Thank you so much for calling in. Please don't be a stranger. Come down to the Brooklyn Cafe. I would love to see you again. Okay, but I did open up with that story. It was amazing for me and for you too. Thank you.
Sally, the other day, this is crazy that you say that. I had a dream that I was driving down the street and I saw you and Steve dressed in formal wear walking a dog.
Is this still Linda, or is this?
No, this is me. This is me.
Oh.
After you said that,
Okay.
I had and I could tell you that I was on the corner. This is my dream. I was
Okay.
driving down St. Andrews and turning west on Palmetto Park Road, and on my left there's a neighborhood, and there you and Steve were in this formal wear. He was in a suit and you were in a gown, walking someone's dog.
Oh my God.
You don't even live over there.
No, because I live in Boca, but
That
I'm
is
more
so
west.
weird
I'm
that
west.
I just thought about that.
That's beautiful, because I actually, as much as the theme is loved ones, I believe our loved ones are our dogs too. So part of that, I mean, I missed my dog. I've had a few dogs, but my last dog was with Aldo, who loved her so much. I believe that she, with Linda, was the dog. I think the theme is the dogs. I don't know yet. We both want a dog, but we don't want the responsibility of a dog because we're traveling a lot. But I think that dogs are all around us. They're definitely very, very psychic. Please believe that. They know what's going on. But just the same as us, not every dog has reached that level. My dog did. My dog Sabrina was adorable. When we would talk as we're doing now, and that's maybe who you saw, because she's still here with me in spirit. She'd lay on her back, fall asleep and snore when we were talking like this. So it's about dogs today, with Linda's dog, with you seeing a dog. I believe they're still here in spirit. That's beautiful. Thank you, Dawn.
Sally, do dreams send a message or do they have interpretation? Because I heard somebody mention to somebody else that somebody else was walking in their dreams. The dreams have messages, first part.
Dreams do have messages, yes. I believe that we have some idea that the message is there, because if we remember a dream, it's a little more, it's going deeper into our psyche. We have a subconscious where we just dream and we forget about what's happened day to day in life. But if we remember a dream, I truly believe there is a message for that. Yes, I do believe that.
And what does it mean when somebody's walking in their dream?
When they're walking in their dream?
In other words, I had a dream that you were walking in my dream. What does that mean? Does it have
Well,
a
then I had to
significance?
be with you in that dream, Freddie. We were walking somewhere. Did it have an ending? Do you know where we were walking?
Again, it had a, I don't know if it was an ending, but it ended up going towards a horizon on the beach where there were mountains and castles and everything else. But I'm trying to understand is, how did you show up in it? Is that a message from somebody else?
No, it was a message from me and for you too. Because the fact that you just said that, we were going to a horizon. We were walking, meaning that there is so much, from what I'm feeling, and I need to go into this a little bit more, I'm feeling that we were walking into a horizon of what we might say right now is the unknown, but it's not the unknown. They're showing us that there is so much more, Freddie. There's so much more going on. I have no recollection of that dream, but I can feel it right now, that there is no ending to where this is going. I'm feeling this very strongly. Dawn, you are part of this too, absolutely. Because this is just the beginning. We're walking to where we're going. It's like a journey, and it's opening up onto the horizon. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Thank you, because I feel that. I wasn't aware of that dream, and I don't always know where I'm in dreams, but I believe I was there. I just not feeling it. You know, I'm feeling it, but I'm not aware of it. We don't remember everything. The ones we remember are very significant, but I can see it. I absolutely see it, as you just said that.
But they have a significance. Is my point.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm feeling that dream this is the beginning of, if you think about it, it makes sense. We're walking and we're getting to somewhere else, and we're going to that, and we're all part of this. We're all part of it. We're on, if I can give you a message and an answer to that, we're on the right track, okay? We're definitely on the right track. Follow your instincts. We're all part of this.
And it's funny because at the end of that dream, we were in a room and there was nothing but new people that I've never met in my life. And you were on one side of the room and I was on the other. And then we do the show today where I didn't know some of our guests today that were here today. And then you walk in and it reminded me of what I dreamt.
I love that, Freddie. I love that. You see the significance of that? Just like that lady, and she called in today, so she had a wonderful feeling about that. We must continue with that when it's so real and it's so good. And I'm getting it when you feel good about it, it will show up again. I didn't forget that lady, Linda. If you're still listening, I never forgot you last night, and I speak to a lot of people. Because the real part of it is what we're bringing into our now, right now. And the now is a key word. What we're bringing into our now, we will materialize. Again, the universe doesn't know bad from good or good from bad. We do. So continue with, I always say, the positivity of our messages. It's so important to be positive. We will be led into the right direction. I'm going to say wish because people see that what you wish will come about. Positivity with what you're talking about. If you visualize it, which we're doing right now, and I feel it very strongly, visualize what you want and we'll all interact with that and it will come about. Does that make sense? And that's how my collective will always say, does that make sense?
It clears up a lot of what I was trying to figure out. And this color was very vivid. It was in color, which I don't know why that's even significant, but it sort of came home today when I saw you at the end of the studio and I noticed what was between us. And I always wondered what it meant. It was telling me you were walking in the dream, and I didn't know what that meant.
Well, I can only tell you right now as I'm sitting here, it's touched me very greatly because it's opening up for me something. It's not that I don't believe this. I know where we're going, but that was validation of where we're going. It's really important to understand this. We let it go and we don't think about it. But the fact that you brought this up on my show here and that you're here in the studio and I'm getting these good feelings, and yesterday what happened, it's good. Just continue where we're going. You will find a lot of answers to your dream. You'll see it happening. And I'm definitely part of that, as is Dawn, as is the Brooklyn Cafe. And the people that we have met, that I have met here, are all part of this dream. And that brings me back to you.
We gonna take a commercial? Let's take a commercial because I have a question for you and Lynn, which has to do with the book that you guys are working on.
Thank you, Freddie. Okay, we'll see you on the other side of the commercial. I'm getting used to this now, okay? Don't go anywhere. This is good.
A true story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena. You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybarnard.com today. Now, back to the show. Okay, here we are, back after the commercial. Okay, I'm going to open it up again for people in the studio.
We have another message for you.
Okay.
This is from Linda, your cousin. When we transition, do we find our blood family members who have previously transitioned?
From everything that I have learned and I understand, absolutely, Linda. Thank you for calling in. Yes, we do. We see them. They come actually, and we've heard this, people do say that. They greet us. It's like they all greet us, we're coming home. They actually sometimes have a party. So, I mean, I'm not saying we want to go there right now because we're living here, but just don't be afraid of where we're going. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. It's absolutely wonderful and I want to get there because we need to live here. But please don't be afraid of passing. We're only passing, we're transitioning. Yes, Linda, you will see your loved ones. Thank you.
And Sally, the question I was going to have you and Lynn, you and Sally have been working on her book now for a couple of months. And I wanted to ask you, did you ever get any kind of inspiration or any kind of vision talking to Sally and gathering the information for the book?
I think what I ended up getting was just this sense that she and I were working toward the same purpose, the same goal, and that it expanded from me being kind of a silent editor to we've just changed the attribution of the book. Now it says by Sally Barnard as told to Lynn Everard. So it over time it became our book. So the vision was that we were so aligned with what she was sharing in her book that we really both seemed to have very much the same message. And so we thought, well, and actually Sally thought this first because I had this belief that I always had to be the silent editor, right?
Right.
You know, that my name, because in all the clients I've worked with, my name's never appeared in their book anywhere. And so I thought that was the way I was supposed to do it. But as we kept working together, it just became more and more clear that this was a project that was bigger than both of us.
Exactly, yeah. It was beyond our control at that point.
Yes. And I think, you know, some of the epiphanies we had were there was one of them where we actually had the same epiphany in the same moment. And we looked at each other, and it was like, who was going to say it first?
Yep.
Right?
Yes. It's amazing. It was amazing.
And so all these things that happened along the way were just more of an indication that this was really Sally is completely from the heart, and this really is a heart-centered book, and that it's really about love. As a matter of fact, we'll share one piece of information. One of the final chapters in the book, we came up with the title of "What's Love Got to Do with It?" And you probably recognize that as the name of a Tina Turner song.
Yes.
But you know, it was a question worth asking, and so we addressed that in that chapter. It's actually about her and Steve.
Yeah.
But it was that title that we came up with. So it's been an amazing journey, and now we are in the stage of my compiling everything. And I guess you know, Sally connected me with her screenplay writer. And so now as we finish pieces of book, we'll be sending them to him, and he'll be starting to actually further develop the screenplay for what will become a movie.
It's getting more and more interesting, right? Yes, absolutely. So we're very excited, very excited. Thank you for the question, Freddie.
So did it change your perception as to what the two of you are trying to accomplish from beginning to now?
Yes, it did in a way, right? I mean, we never want to lose track of Aldo, who is in spirit,
Right,
but he's always
right.
come in, and it's like we get the same answers because he's giving us those answers. So the theme more is Aldo's taking a bigger part in this story than we expected, right?
Right. It got to the point where we knew that Aldo was answering a lot of the questions through Sally, but then it got to the point where he wasn't satisfied just answering the questions. Then he wanted to start asking the questions, so he started asking the questions through me.
That's correct.
And it was basically Aldo having a conversation with himself in terms of the book being
And you know,
written.
that is so interesting because in this lifetime you did not meet Aldo. And Gino, who's writing the screenplay, did not meet Aldo. And yet he suddenly said to me, as he was thinking about how he was going to present the screenplay, he said, you know, Aldo has to be a big part of this because Aldo was going to him too. So, you know, I always hear him saying, Sally, when he passed, even before he passed, be my mouthpiece. So it stands to reason that he's going to be part of this, right? It's incredible. It's wonderful. I don't expect everybody to understand or open up to it. I didn't. But you know, over the years, the validation that I've had that there is so much more, and I pass that on to people, it's just, it touches your heart, doesn't it? And everybody here, I'm sure they feel that. When we're not alone, and the more we open up to this, the more we get more information from them.
Well, and that brings up a question, and that is, do our loved ones who are on the other side, do they send us physical signs of their presence?
They do, all the time, as best that they can. But we also have to be receptive to that. I mean, very often, and I have a girlfriend, Mindy, who finds a lot of hearts everywhere. Well, they're telling her love is the answer. Wherever she looks, she's my friend Mindy, who I've talked about, is my hairdresser, and suddenly in her salon she'll see you know, Mindy, a heart here and a heart there. Love is the answer. But we have to be aware, pennies from heaven. They send us pennies. Sometimes it's a quarter. I actually haven't had a lot of dollars, but that's okay. But they do send them to us, okay? So it's all opening us up to the fact that they are still around us. Yes, yes, definitely.
Sally, someone wrote in, do angels work together or does everyone have their own guardian angel?
Okay, everyone, as far as I know and I believe, we all have a guardian angel. Do they work together? From what I understand, and I can tell you I'm not 100% certain, but I feel yes, because they're a collective too. They're like your friends, like here, if I have a question and I'll talk to you about it, you may say, well, I have a similar question. We find our level. So that would go into a higher dimension. And this is actually a very interesting question because they're giving me the answer to this. They may be on a slightly higher dimension, but from what I'm feeling, and I feel it very strongly now, they're walking together on the other side because they're on that same dimension as we meet. We call it the law of attraction, where we meet people at our level. It's the same, it continues there. It's the same thing. It's not that different. It's just we don't have a body and we come back until we learn our lesson eventually, which could be a long, long time. And then beyond there, I'm not going to touch, okay? Because I know we do go further.
Well, if everyone has guardian angels, then why is there so much fear if we're
Because-
so well protected?
Beautiful. It's a good question. It's a sad question, but it's a good question, Dawn, because we're not open to it. They're here. If we could only just understand that we all live together, that's what they're trying to tell us. Let's have a peaceful existence here. But we, if you want to say, are our own worst enemy. And this is what they're telling us, because we don't want to see beyond all the fear of all the corruption here. Some of what you hear on the show is my poetry that I wrote, that I didn't even understand this, but it came the same as my art. I'm writing these poems, and it's a lot about all the corruption and everything. We just need to know, just feel that we're being protected. If my message today is this, and it was about our loved ones on the other side, because they see more clarity on the other side, just opened up to the fact that they are trying very hard to help us. I am what they call, would be a medium, so I'm able to hear them. But they want you to hear. What I'm doing, you can do. My audience out there, listen. I mean, as long you have to be open to it. If you say this doesn't exist, then it's like I'm talking to someone that doesn't want to hear me, and I understand that, but they're not going to hear my message. It's the same on the other side. They're telling us, please, they're trying to let me open up to people to know that they are trying to contact us. It's very, very important to understand that. I'm doing what I feel that I need to do to open people's minds. Can I open everybody's mind? No. And Claire, you have a question.
Yes, so like learning about all this that we're talking about, what if you don't want to come back? I mean, like, I'm afraid to come back. I mean, if I come back in 50 years, God knows what this world is going to be like and who I'm going to, I'm very happy right now. I love my life. I'm afraid of what I might come back into.
I love that question. But if you're loving what you're doing here, we continue. If you are full of fear and you don't know what's going on and you're having, we all have difficulties in our life. But if you can try it, which it sounds like you have, which is great, Claire, you'll overcome that fear. We're going to come back. We're not going to come back into a situation that was bad and that was okay in this life and suddenly go back into one that's not good.
We'll progress more.
We progress. Absolutely, we progress.
But what if the world is like, a third world war?
That's okay. You're still going to, well, it's not, because we're trying to spread what they call light to what we have here. That's why my message, I feel, is very important. Well, we're going to come back to where we are. Even if there's a lot of things going on here, we don't necessarily lose where we are now. And that's a good question, because if you're in fear and you pass in fear, you may come back. I'm not saying for sure, because I don't want to scare people, but you may come back in fear. But if you come back with love and positivity, which I know, I've known you for a few years, Claire, and I know that, you're going to have that same feeling. It doesn't leave you. It doesn't, because you're learning. We're on a journey, and we're learning that positivity. And even if we just get a little bit, we will continue. We will continue where we left off, basically. So have no fear of that, please. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a good question. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? I also have like a little comment about what you were saying before. My girlfriend Josephine, her husband passed away a few months ago from a brain tumor. And you were talking about, somebody was talking about like messages or something, right? So they used to make Christmas cookies together, her and her family. And he used to sit in this one chair in the living room, and they were all making his favorite cookie in the kitchen, and all of a sudden the glass on the next to the chair that he was sitting fell on the floor and broke. So
okay. He was there. He's getting
there.
your attention. How better to get your attention, because you're even telling me about it,
right,
is for that to happen. They will do the best they can. It also depends where they left here. If they believed a lot in that, they're more able to do that. I'm not saying that someone didn't believe they can't do it. I don't have the exact answer to that. But if you're aware of that, you continue that awareness when we pass on. I have heard from people that I knew in this life that was aware, especially Aldo was a very good example. He's on a higher dimension. He's coming to me all the time. I wanted to be sure. I went to a psychic, and the first thing they told me is that Aldo was here guiding me. that was valid. I still need the validation just like anyone else. I'm a person living in this life. But that was great validation. They also said to me that it was on a higher dimension. It's not what I didn't know, but it was so good to hear somebody say that. So yes, this person was there and he was trying to get their attention.
To let them know that he's still
Absolutely.
with them, and thank
Yes.
you for making my special cookies.
Absolutely, and he was appreciating that.
He was
They have that appreciation, and as far as I know, I'm not there, but I'm in contact as far as I know with them, because I wouldn't be able to do this. They're so happy when they hear that, because their messages are coming through to us. So that's great. Be perceptive, see that. And I always, as I've been told by Dawn and a few people, that when I get the message, and I'm not aware because I am in a slight trance, that I always say thank you. Is that correct, Dawn?
Always.
Yes, and I wasn't aware that I was saying thank you like that, but I do say that thank you. So, you know, and because I'm not 100% here when I do this, but they like that. They love to hear that. It's very important. Thank you, Claire. Thank you.
Sally, do you take questions by phone, and what's the number?
I do, and let me give my number out. Thank you for saying that. It's 888-994-4995. Please call in. We're getting to near the remainder of the ending of this show, but I see a very good friend of mine. Please come in, Russ. I'd love to see you here, and you're more than welcome. Take a seat. I love your questions. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you today? Take a seat and ask me a question if you have a mic. Thank you, Russ. A little late, but that's great to see you here, okay? Do you have a question for me? I'm putting you on the spot.
All right, well, bring me up to speed in terms of the revelations that the Pentagon has been announcing lately.
Okay.
I mean, why should we pay attention to the Pentagon at this point in time?
I'm sorry I asked you for the question. Okay, that's okay. Well, because as you know, and as I've been on the show with Russ a few times, we talk about the UFOs. So this is no coincidence. Obviously, the theme was loved ones, but that's okay because they're coming through to us. Yes, the Pentagon is beginning to try to show us, not too much, to give us some information of what's going on. We are seeing a few things. We're just not aware. They say, what's that up there? But we're questioning it. And the fact that we're questioning it is what's very important. So that was a good question. It's also, and I'm going to bring it into our theme, which is the loved ones. When we pass, we may know a little bit more. I can't be sure, but if we were interested in this lifetime, we're going to know more when we pass. So that may be that they're showing us too. You know, things that we're not aware of, but we can't explain it, and we'll see something, and I'll say, I saw something up in the sky. So the more we talk about it, it's better. Let's get it out in the open, so to speak.
So you believe in reincarnation then? You were saying
Of course I believe in reincarnation.
Is that right?
I knew you from another life.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
What was that? You were driving you?
Claire, I knew everybody in the
I
studio.
was driving Miss Daisy, you think?
I know everybody that was in the studio. There are no coincidences. Yes, of course I believe in previous lives. And, you know, and even that lady, Linda, if you're still there listening, that was not coincidence that I saw you. I'm not sure if you're still there, but it was so happy that you called in. Our story was amazing. Thank you for that. But I feel it goes deeper than that, okay? So yes, we will meet people from our lifetimes. It's like we get drawn to them, as what happened to me yesterday at the expo. We may not understand it at the time, but each and every one of us sitting here, from what I know and from what I feel, we have all been in different lifetimes together. Definitely, Claire. How we met was amazing too, right?
Well, how come we can't remember, most of us?
Because our memory, we actually, not only do we wipe it, they wipe our memory sometimes, but the more, and I've been on this show now and I've been doing this quite a few months now, but my memory is, it's like my brain cells are telling me more. I am remembering so much more. I believe it's both. Either we wipe our own memory, but they also wipe our own memory, because if we suddenly remembered all our lifetimes, we'd be going crazy. So we remember the lifetimes as we open up to this that are significant for this lifetime. if that makes sense. And you know my guides always say, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Thank you, Russ. I put you on the spot, I know.
You know, Russ, it's kind of like if we understood if we became aware of all of our past lives at the same time, it would almost be the same kind of shock that would happen if we knew everything about UFOs all at the same time.
wow.
We wouldn't be able to handle it.
Right, right. That's
And
true.
that brings us into an interesting scenario here. I think we all do know, because as I had said earlier, not everybody, but people that are becoming aware that we are, and it's coming to me very clearly from the future. We're here in our now, but we have memory of this. And as we had talked on your show too, of the rocket ships, which I was drawing, it's just opening our memory a little more. But we have to, as Aldo would always say to me, let's do this little by little by little. So it's really important for me anyway. I can only really talk for myself, but I like to pass this on, that we begin to understand this little by little. I think we have the memory of UFOs. We just don't know it. We've erased our own memory, plus other people have helped us do that.
You know, Sally, one of the things that is so great about your show is that people are able to operate where they feel comfortable, and they're able to ask you one question at a time and get a little bit more information than what they had, and then allow themselves to be able to process that over however long it takes them,
Right.
before they come back and they're ready to ask another question.
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes, and
So-
that's what I'm hoping is
Yeah,
happening.
so
yes.
that's part of the value of the show. And I don't know if we've talked about this, but you're also available for private readings.
Yes, I am. Thank
And-
you. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
and you know, what the important thing about that is that it's not just a 5-minute thing like you would get at an expo kind of thing. This is really something that can go into depth, and you also explain, you give insights into what the bigger meaning of it is.
Thank you, Lynn, because as much as I'm doing my show, I kind of leave the rest to everybody else to help me with this. Yes, I mean, my show is what's important and my message, but I am available for private readings. And if you're local, come to the cafe. Just give us a call. The number here at the studio is 888-994-4995, Studio A. Both Dawn or Freddie or anybody that's working here will give me the message, and I'm happy to, if you can come to the studio, I'm happy to give a message to people, or you can also contact me too, okay? And you can go into my email, which is sallybarnard1111@gmail.com. I will answer anybody that emails me, and I'm happy to give people the messages. Thank you for I'm not that great at doing that, so I have to be reminded. My focus is on answering questions here, but I come back to the normal world to do that. Yes, thank you. Okay, I think we're coming to. We have another 2 minutes. Is there a minute question and a minute answer? Yes. Oh, okay, yes, we can, if there's no immediate question or answer. Okay, thank you, everybody, for listening. Please tune in next Monday, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you're local, please come into the studio, the Brooklyn Cafe, or email me. Thank you very much. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.